Right.
And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the ReadNow community, our Wednesdays Writers Night, as we talk about crazy writing craziness, writing shenanigans, and whatever writing stuff is on our mind. So today, I would love to hear what's on your mind, everybody. Have you been getting some work done on your writing? Because it's Writers Group, where we meet every Wednesday at 4 Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we check in with the other writers of our group. I know we've had we were having some tech issues. A couple of us were having tech issues before we went live. So we're trying to troubleshoot through some tech issues. But I'm so glad to have everybody here today. Welcome to the community. I'm Kaufman. I'm on a mission to help the writers with the highs and lows of the writing process. Because let's face it, writing is hard, it's easy, it's in between. But with the community, it makes it so much easier. So make sure you stick around because we'll do the conversations. We'll probably get some writing sprints as well. And we'll see what mischief we can get up to today. So that's what I got. And then I know we had a couple writers here at one moment in time. JL, I'll let you do your intro for anybody who doesn't know you.
Hello, hello. I am JLD. I am a romance erotica extraordinaire author of A Summer with Persephone, takeoff of the Hades and Persephone tale, among other books. 2 books are in the work and coming. One is a werewolf story, and one is a science fiction romance. I do love the romance, and I am working on my hotspot with JLD. YouTube channel at some point, hopefully coming soon. And I also run a writing coaching Discord. So, yay, good to be here.
Ooh, so glad to have you back, JL. Very, very exciting. I know. And then for those of you guys, obviously, so I still need to give you a spotlight for a moment so we don't think that you've missed a meeting. You can still get the spotlight for showing up, even if your mic's having issues. So you guys know, Soul's working through some audio issues. Their mic's just not working. But so you can give us like a little charades intro if you want. You could just wave. Like if you were to do a sign, what type of thing do you write for all our new writers? How would that be? Like dragon, like boat? There we go. There we go. All right, use the things.
Props, yay.
Well, so always happy to have you in here, my friend. Hopefully you'll be able to get the audio worked out, and we'll bring you back up in a bit if you're able to get that solved. So awesome. It looks like we're going to have some great conversations today. But first, let me welcome everyone to the stream. Megan, I saw you hop in. Wonderful, wonderful. ML, hope you had a great day. And for all of our members, if you're not a member of the Read Now book club yet, we're reading ML's book this month. Very, very cool. I was like, oh my God, why do I forget it every single time? I was like, I feel like I've done this spiel so many times, and I keep thinking of ML's other books. Deadcaster. So we're doing Deadcaster, which is a paranormal fantasy for the Read Now book club. Very exciting. I'm sure a couple of our members have already started on it. And who else do we got? Let's see. I'm always feel like I'm playing catch up when I'm hopping to the chat. Let's see. And Lynn, welcome, my friend. Good to have you back here in the stream. I think everybody's talking about anime and which animated shows or anime they like. Lillian, welcome, welcome, welcome. I see. And Bethany, welcome back, my friend. Great to have you in here. Happy Wednesday. So JL, do you watch any animated shows at all, or have you ever been a fan of anime?
I was really into some anime back in the 80s. I was
Ooh,
in,
back in the
yeah.
80s. What was 80s anime?
I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it was called Robotech was my addiction. I was really into Robotech, and there was another one, but I cannot remember. And then I kind of fell out of love with it. It just wasn't in my sphere. I was working on other things,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be an adult and stuff later. Still haven't figured that out either. But I love some of the anime, the movies that have come out lately that are really gorgeous. I'm not sure if Blue Eyed Samurai qualifies as anime, but it is one of the most gorgeous adult animated film or series, sorry, ever done. It is absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous writing, gorgeous everything. I love really well done writing. I don't care if it's animated or filmed. The characters need to be good, the writing is solid, I'm for it.
Yeah, I was like, I definitely like, I don't think I've seen that one. I was like, I don't think
Oh,
I'm aware.
I cannot wait for season 2. And then I got into Arcane as well because that was just
Oh,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah, I definitely really liked Arcane. Arcane
Yeah,
was definitely a good one.
yeah. I
I
think
was
season 2 was a
definitely a
little
fan of
messy.
Arcane. What was
Yeah.
that?
Season 2 was a little messy, but, towards the end there, but I think they're trying to cram a lot of stuff in, but that happens sometimes, it's
Mm.
Nintendo. Sometimes you don't have control of your own material, which
Yeah.
is frightening.
Y You know what's interesting is I loved season 1, and I just haven't gone around to watching season 2. I think I've just been busy. I mean, I know that came out was that a couple months back?
A little
I
yeah, a
just
little while.
yeah, it's just not one that I've, thrown on, but it's something I actually do wanna watch.
It plays with some alternate universe stuff that I
Mhm,
was absolutely down for. I was like, "What?" It's like a what if this happened
mhm,
instead scenario, and
mhm.
I didn't feel like they resolved it, and I'm like, "Okay, season 3, make this make sense because 'cause I'm here for it." Yeah, it's the animation is just beautiful though, but I never
Yeah,
got
I
into the
wonder if they're playing
commerce
around.
or
Are you familiar with the League of Legends universe at all with any of, like, the characters?
lightly, as in I kinda catch
Mhm,
it up with, like, the nerd summaries on YouTube sometimes.
mhm. I've always been a fan of League of Legends, the game, so I've had a lot of familiarity with a lot of the characters, and my guess is they're probably trying to tie into other characters or world building or things into their greater universe so they can expand and probably introduce more characters is my guess.
Ooh,
I mean,
yeah, everything is
well over
about
100 heroes, I think, in the game by now.
oh, wow.
Mhm.
That's busy. That's real busy,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
mean,
a
League of
game
Legends has
that's,
been around for a while. LoL has
yeah.
definitely been around for some time now.
I think if you kind of were with it in the beginning and grew into it, it's easier to
Mhm,
follow versus coming into something now where the world building is amazingly huge and
mhm.
so but it depends. I mean, you can always catch up. That's the thing about art and IP is you can always catch up to it.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say that one of my favorite I was like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen my share of anime throughout the years. I think when I think of anime, my favorite is always Death Note. Death Note is always my go-to. I always loved Death Note so much. Like, what a
It's
great anti-hero.
I agree. It's such a good concept too because it makes you take responsibility for something really, really crappy,
Yeah.
but you want to do it so it's I don't know, I love the concept, it's so great. I saw the movie and I just love Willem Dafoe's voice work. I thought it was fabulous.
Oh my goodness. I know the Netflix adaptation was very interesting. Was very, very interesting to say the least. Doing a live adaptation of anime is always a very difficult thing to pull off.
Well,
And
what do
I
you think of
think,
The Last Airbender? They just did that.
it's funny because I was thinking about live action adaptations of animes that we've seen recently, and I know Last Airbender was one of them that came to mind. Before I answer that, I would love to hear in the chat, are there any live adaptations of animes that you guys have enjoyed? Is there anyone from any of our anime or animated fans, any live actions that you guys have enjoyed? And I'll open it up to not just anime, but anything animated. So we'll open up to all the Disney stuff, all the live action animated stuff, because there's a lot out there. Now, when we think about just the anime portion, we've seen an increase. I know last year Netflix did, we did Last Airbender. I think we did Yu Yu Hakusho. We did One Piece, and I think those are the three. Oh, Cowboy Bebop. They did Cowboy Bebop
Oh,
at one point as well,
that
which I
was the
was
other one I was
entertained by it.
addicted to.
Yeah,
Love Cowboy Bebop.
was entertained by it. I was like, I don't think it did all too well. If I believe, I don't think it got
Oh,
renewed.
no, the live one got so slammed, and I honestly liked it. I was, like, one of the outliers that was like, "This is great, I freaking love this," and I could see what they were doing with the characters, and I really
Mhm,
enjoyed how they kind of interpreted some of the costuming and the attitude, and I felt like
mhm,
was it 100%? No, because that's why people love animation because you can
mhm.
capture things in animation that you can't quite do with live action. It's gonna be off.
But
So,
I mean,
I dug it.
One Piece, they did such a great job with. So One Piece, and then I think the Last Airbender is debatable. I think there's a little bit more The Last Airbender was a little bit more mixed reception. Not as much mixed reception as the movie. The movie didn't do very well, but I think the show got a little bit more mixed reception. I think more people were open to it and intrigued. So I don't
It's
think
better
Last
than the
Airbender
movie.
got bad. Huh?
Yeah, better than the movie.
Yeah, I mean, way
That
better. I mean, compared
novel
to the
did.
movie, the show was incredible.
Yeah, gold stars all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. I love the attention to detail. I think is what's really fun when you take something that's animated, or
Mhm,
even in a comic book, and you have these characters in your mind and in your life, and you they're visualized. When they go into live action, you want to see that. You want to see
mhm,
that exactly. You want to see them behaving the way they behave. You want
mhm,
it to be a copy, but it's real life. It's like going to StarCon and there they are, and you're gonna go get your autograph signed by, that's kind of how you envision it, and so when you don't quite have it that way, it is a bit of a
mhm.
letdown.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the challenge with it because I think there's a lot of expectations, especially high expectations with fans in any type of adaptation. Now with the anime genre, it's almost like because there's more like niche and cult followings, I think the expectations are even more heightened.
Oh,
And
I
that's actually
agree.
the same thing that we see with video game adaptations to the live screen. It's the same thing we actually see with book adaptations, but there have been way more shots at book adaptations and so many have been done well. Right,
Yeah,
and
well,
I think
yeah.
most people can agree that probably one of the strongest book to film adaptations is probably Lord of the Rings. I think most people can
Oh,
agree that Lord of the Rings was probably one of the strongest, just in
I think
terms of everything.
I think that Jackson knew do not F with Tolkien at all. Like, he took it so seriously because he
Mhm,
knows that the audience takes it seriously, so
mhm,
he went into the church and
mhm,
he gave a sermon and everybody was there for it. That's how he treated
mhm.
those films, so yeah. Even though he had to leave out a bunch of stuff because otherwise we'd have been here for, like, a month in the theater just watching it. Because it's such a juggernaut. I'm down for having a really good adaptation
Mhm.
series-wise so we can go into all those side stories, but it needs to be treated with care and respect, and that's one thing that is some studios just don't do. They just give their own interpretation and to hell with how it was originally written.
Let's see. I'm totally getting distracted. Oh no. Okay. So, yeah, and I mean, I don't know, JL. I don't know. Do you are you into a gaming at all, or have you done ever been into any type of gaming?
I did D&D for about 3 years, and
Oh
I
well, I
freaking
approve.
loved it.
I
I
totally approve.
loved it.
You know, D&D is something I've always wanted to try, but I've just never had like the right friend group or the right time because I know you kind of have to invest into learning the rules, whatever edition you're playing.
Same.
Um, but when I
Yeah.
was younger, I definitely did my share of tabletop gaming. Like I was always into the card games, Magic. I did the Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic. I was into Warhammer for a bit, and that was all fun. But it's like D&D, it's just never found. It's like never like right time or right place for me.
You really do have to have
Mhm,
you have to have the right friend group for it. I tried for several years to get in, "Oh, we run D&D," and I'm like, "Ooh, let me come down." And then the dungeon master, like, killed everybody at the end of every single game, every single day, and it was just so like, then we had to redo everything over again, and I'm like, "This is not fun. Why is this cool?" And my husband actually was a dungeon master, and he played D&D since he was a wee one. And so we got some friends together. We all wanted to try it. We got our dice, we got our freaking character sheets. We like went for it. We played one game for 2 years, and it was magical. He was so good at doing it. And then we started another one, and then half of our group moved to a different state. So that kind of went.
Aw. You know what? The reason I was talking about gaming was because I think one of the strongest video, and I think most people can probably agree that the worst adaptations in history have probably been the video game to film format or
Oh,
video game.
preach.
I think the worst adaptations, I will always love the original Super Mario Bros. Adaptation, even if it was one of the worst movies ever made. But I love it for its how bad it was.
The spirit of it was there.
The
Bob
Super
Hoskins.
Mario Bros. Live action movie is considered one of like the top 10 like worst flops of all time.
It's very bad. It's really bad. Right up there well, when they tried to adapt He-Man, I know He-Man's not a game, but it was kind of the same with Dolph Lundgren and all that, and it was like it was so awesomely bad. I actually saw that in the theater, and I'm like, "This is amazing!" And it's so bad, but I love every second of this.
Okay, and let's see real quick. I think we got Soul back in the studio.
Yay!
So, Soul, hopefully we got the audio fixed and we'll give it a shot. Welcome back, my friend.
Hopefully this works.
Yay!
Woo! Testing 1 to 3. Say something clever.
Yeah, I don't know what to say that's clever.
Well, we can definitely hear you, so that definitely works.
Oh, well, hey, at least you guys can hear me.
I was like, Soul of what episode, what meeting are we on? We're on what meeting session 35, 36?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, out of 36. I was like, Soul, you've never failed me on one of our meetings. You've never failed me all the way back to our first Right Now Writers meeting, which was last, I think I started these in July. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure I started
so.
the writers group in July. And funny story, I mean, for those of you guys who are OG fans or who've been around the Right Now community for a while, Soul, when I did the first write-a-thon back, it was July. When I did the first write-a-thon back in July, that was the very first community event I tried, and it was a 6-hour live stream, and I brought on about 8 guests. And I put out an open invite to anybody who wanted to come join me. Soul is the first one who shows up right when we're about to stream. And I was like, yeah, super cool. So Soul was awesome. I had known, so we met really early on when I first started my streaming. And then I wasn't expecting every single time there was like an ad break or in between sessions, I'd be like, all right, if anybody wants to like go, like you don't have to stay with me the whole time. And like Soul's like, oh no, I'm chilling. This is easy. And you were like the only one, like you stayed on with me like all 6 hours. I'm like, damn, you have some really good endurance.
Hey, I have nothing else to do, so
But you even if that's the case though, not everybody is able to have that like on screen endurance.
yeah, and I got to admit, that was the first time I had ever done something like that, so
Man, and then JL, I know you do a lot of stuff online. I'm not sure if how much of it is live streaming as compared to like video stuff. Um,
I'm sorry.
no, go for it. What were you gonna say?
I'm currently recording to launch the hotspot with JL. So, and trying to find time to do the recordings and editing has been very very challenging. But I'm hoping to launch it this month. But I do live streaming every Tuesday with a friend of mine who has a channel, and we do a
Okay.
show on like the woo stuff every Tuesday night,
How long do you guys usually stream for?
anywhere from 2 to 3 hours.
Okay. So you kind of know then how it feels then once you're streaming for a couple hours. And I mean clearly guys, I've gotten used to after 430 consecutive streams. So I figured it out. But once I hit that 3-hour mark, I start feeling it. If I've been talking a lot, I feel it a little bit. Um and then anyone who was here for our December event, right, where we did the Right Now-a-thon this past December, 25 hours. Apparently 24 hours is my limit.
Oh my god! Well, you aren't
I've
messing
I
around.
found out that 24 hours is my limit for streaming. I was
Whew.
like, and Soul and Penelope both like survived with me throughout the whole thing. I was like, dang, like good job. Like they were awesome. I wouldn't have been able to do the Right Now-a-thon without either of them.
it was a lot of fun. It really
Mhm.
was.
Mhm. Oh man, just wait till we get to this year's Right Now-a-thon. The question I'll always be asking myself is, how do we go bigger? Oh man, yeah. And of course, it's not a real writers group unless we have our cameo appearance from Crow.
Oh, is that the kitty's name?
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
Yes,
Yay.
his name is Crow,
I love that.
and he's a baby.
Ah, all right. Where were we at? I mean, I know we were talking about adaptations and animes. So I mean, I feel on the vibe of talking about all our like media favorites. So the video game adaptation I was going to talk about though, I think I would argue this is probably one of the strongest adaptations, a TV show adaptations I've seen in a very long time. The Last of Us. I would argue that The Last of Us is one of the strongest just adaptations in general, in how it captures the original core story and then adds to it in a way that does more without minimizing the experience. And everything they do, I feel like, just elevates the character journeys.
I
Man, I
haven't heard
still need to
really.
see
I
that.
haven't played that game. Oh, sorry, Soul.
No, it's
What
all
was
right.
it?
I still need to see that. I have heard nothing but good things about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's very good. It
Mm-hmm.
is very good.
It's so
I haven't.
even if you haven't played the game, which the games are incredible. Anybody
I
who likes
watched them
zombie
play.
games, what was
Yeah.
that?
I watched some of the online snips of it, so I had an idea of what the look was and the feeling
Mm-hmm.
and what the storyline was, and because I do my nerd research, y'all. I do it.
You got to be able to hang with the nerds.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's sounding like you know what you're talking about and knowing what you're talking about. I don't do either that well, but I try.
Well, I mean, you have more D&D experience than I do, so I think we could argue who's got the real nerd cred over here.
One day they'll actually do a decent D&D movie. They're actually, I'll tell you what I do. I'm
I
kind of an
didn't see that
expert in.
latest D&D movie. I heard mixed results about it, but not as bad as the previous D&D movie that came out years ago. But I think
Oh
back
my
in the
god,
90s.
was it? I know I was a young adult at the time, and it was bad. Yeah, that
Well,
was when
so
everybody was jumping up and down that it was satanic and kids are gonna do bad things if they watch this movie, and we're like, it's a bunch. It's okay. It was bad, and then it just. I think what gave it any kind of cred was the negative hype about it.
oh man, let's see. I was like, I think somebody had a question. I just missed it. Well, people have mentioned a couple of great call outs. World of Warcraft. I wanted that movie to be good so badly. I wanted World of Warcraft to be a great movie.
It has some good
Any
moments.
anybody who has played Warcraft, why couldn't they have done the Arthas, the Lich Knight arc? I'm like, I've asked myself that like a trillion times. Like Blizzard had such an opportunity for a great character journey, but they wanted to go back and read. Good. Missed
Well, then
opportunity, Blizzard.
they did the fix everything portal at the end, which is very disappointing. But
I
I
know.
think what is the problem is that people go, "This is popular, let's do a movie," and it's not written by people who've actually, I don't know, played the game,
Yeah.
Mhm,
lived that gamer lifestyle where you're sitting there, your
mhm.
eyes are bleeding, it's 4 in the morning, you've lived on, red Coke or red Mountain Dew and popcorn for the last 2 days, and you're just playing away, those are the people you wanna write the script.
Mhm,
Man, that's the problem with any of those kind of adaptations is
mhm,
they never get an actual fan
Yeah.
onto those projects, or if they do, the fan's not like a super fan who would actually make it good.
mhm,
Because I mean, there's people who have never played it. Yeah, I mean,
mhm,
they're going to be crap. We know they're going to be crap. Then
Mhm.
there's people who
mhm.
played it, but they don't really understand it. And then you've got the fans that are just like they live and breathe this stuff. And it's like that's the people you need to make these adaptations. That's the people
But
that you need
technically,
to make.
that's technically not who. And this is where this is where the studios always come from, right? That the fans, the hardcore fans of the franchise, isn't for who these adaptations are for.
Well, they suck and they need to
You
do
think they
better
would?
because
You think they would be,
that's your
right?
audience. Why are you making the movie? Call it something else if you don't wanna attract World of Warcraft people or,
Mhm,
whatever else other
I
people.
think sometimes they expect that like the people that actually play these games aren't going to be interested in the movie or TV adaptations. I
mhm,
think they underestimate that. I really do because they do try. I will admit they do try. But then they ultimately fail because they do fail to realize that no, if they're going to be making a World of Warcraft movie, The
mhm,
Last of Us TV show, they're going to be doing this, doing that, and it's all based on video games.
mhm.
Yeah, no, just automatically assume the fans of that is going to be the ones watching it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
As a side note, Tiara, you said a good comment. You're like, Last of Us was awesome. I had some problems with it here and there. I'm currently violently angry about the casting for Abby for next season. But yes, it was good. I'll still be watching. The reason what's interesting about that, and JL, so JL, you saw Last of Us, but Soul, you haven't seen it yet. And JL, do you know what's gonna happen in the storyline after the
Yes. I
so
I looked up the gameplay and I
okay, you
found
already looked at the gameplay. So we won't spoil it for anyone here. But The Last of Us 2, when the game came out, was an extremely divisive game because of what they decided to do, which was a complete it was just a complete twist and turn from the first game.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2, incredible game to play. Very fun game. I would argue the gameplay is even better, but storyline, it's extremely divisive. A lot of fans have been speculating how they're going to bring that to the TV show. It's
Or
going
if
to
they're
be
even going to do
interesting.
it.
They have to. Because they've stuck so the first season did such a good job of sticking to it, but I mean, I think there's a couple routes that they can go. And then when you look at the trailers, you look at the trailer for season 2, I think they're going to do it, but I think they're going to push the moment that anyone who's a fan of the game knows. I think they're going to push it later in the season, do
That
like
would be smart.
flashbacks. I think that's how they're going to do it, so that way they
Okay.
can still elevate the
Well, look at how they
cast.
treated The Walking Dead. Now I know that wasn't a game. I think they've made games out of it, but
Well, I'm pretty sure Walking Dead was a graphic novel series,
it was a
though.
comic book. Yeah, it was a graphic
Mhm.
novel. So I don't think they might have made a game out of it later, but a
Mhm.
lot of the character choices and arcs and who lived and who died were not what was in the original material.
Mhm.
So that changed quite a lot. And I think it depends on kind of like the temperature, I think, of the audience that was watching it, is how they made some of those choices. But they got to the point where they were changing things so much that it screwed up lines that happened later on in later series. So it got too complicated. So I support you, and like, yeah, they do need to stick to the original storyline in Last of Us. How they do it is going to
Mhm.
needs to be very tactful, because they are going to need to be able to appeal to that TV viewer that hasn't played the game as well. So
Mhm.
I think some sort of compromise, I think you're right, is going to happen. And
Mhm.
then another one that came to mind was the Sandman. I love
Mhm.
Neil Gaiman. I know he's going
You know
through
what?
his
I
own
I
personal
didn't
stuff
know
right
the
now, but
original
I love his
Sandman
work.
stuff. I'm not familiar with the original Sandman. I think is another one's based off a graphic novel, right?
Yes,
For
yes, yes.
Sandman, but I enjoyed the TV show. For
Oh,
somebody who knew nothing about the mythos of Sandman, I enjoyed the TV show. I
it
thought it
was
was
It
dark.
was
fantastic.
It was
neat.
cool. I had fun with it.
The last
I
episode I
would say
thought
the
was the
TV show
most
was just kind
interesting
of
of
fun.
it.
Oh,
What was that?
yeah?
I think the last episode was the most interesting. If I recall, that was like a part of the perspective was like from a cat, I believe.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember
Which
now.
that
I
was fun.
watched it twice, and I can't even remember now.
By the way, guys, it looks like I think Calvin is here. Welcome, welcome. Calvin, I know. Let's see. Let me bring you off mute. Oh, oops, my bad. Hitting the button.
Yeah, sorry about that. Someone apparently decided to pull the damn fire alarm just as we got started.
And,
Ooh.
and for those of you guys who don't know, Calvin is, I believe, Calvin, you're at work, so you can't usually do your video during the Wednesdays, but Calvin always joins us for the conversation.
No, because they don't hook up the damn cameras.
Makes it a little hard to use the video camera, then, doesn't it?
No, it does.
It's
But
like for some reason they don't want you to be streaming while you're at work.
no, I figured they would. You know, it's funny is the people I work with, they're more afraid of the cameras getting turned on while they're working and someone spying on them.
Interesting. So, Calvin, what we're talking about adaptations. I would love to hear from you. What adaptations do you think have worked? What are your favorites? Now, I know Bethany had a question I wanted to touch on when I can go find it. I think Bethany was asking us what we thought about. I want to say it was Sonic. What's our perception of Sonic, the live Sonic movies versus the cartoons? First off, did you guys see any of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies?
I
Sadly,
couldn't.
no.
So Soul you have, but you guys haven't. I
No.
watched the first one. I haven't seen the second or the third one.
I've heard they're
Uh,
all good. I think I'm burnt out on Jim Carrey, if I'm being honest.
I like Jim Carrey, but
I
I also haven't seen him in a while. Like I feel like I personally haven't seen him in stuff lately. But I mean, I always like Bruce Almighty is always one of my
Oh, yeah.
love the comedy. I always love a lot of his older stuff.
I'll be funny. I thought it was stupid when he was in Kick-Ass 2 and he was
Mhm.
complaining about the violence of it. I'm thinking, like, did you not watch the first one? And usually in sequels like that, they up the violence.
That's a good point. And
He
it looks
really
like, by the way, before you continue on, it looks like we also have Bobby here in the studio. Bobby, welcome, my friend. Excellent. Want to make sure that I can get everybody in here.
I'm here. There's a lot of noise going on around me, so I will be muted and listening unless you have a direct question to me.
Awesome. So, Calvin, Bobby, the same question goes to both of you guys. We're just talking about live adaptations or adaptations in general. Which ones did you guys like? Which one did you not like? We just got posed to us about the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
I don't know anything about the Sonic the Hedgehog movies except that they exist. But in my opinion, as far as adaptation goes, here's the thing: 99% of all adaptations do not live up to their source material because they don't seem to use the source material, and or they use it in ways that are like it doesn't fit. To me, if you're gonna watch something like I was very excited when Halo came out, the TV series
Oh
Halo.
God, how I wanted Halo to be good. I wanted Halo to be good so badly because
Yeah.
I was such a fan when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
But
Now
then
the
they made
second
like Halo like a love story. Like, guys, come on,
Yeah, it didn't really make much sense. I mean, it was
come on.
good if you're not really a fan of the game and you want to just watch a good show.
Do
It,
we think that Halo would have been good if they hadn't have shown the Master Chief's face? Do you think that's the route they should have gone? Like same thing with Mandalorian. They, I feel like that's what they should have done.
well, here's the thing: if you actually read the Halo books, because I've read like Fall of Reach, Flood, First
Mhm.
Strike, things like that. He actually has scenes where he's not in his armor and people do see what he looks like. So
Interesting.
him taking off his helmet never bothered me. What more bothered me is I don't know, like the control chips, the things in their spines that seem to make him emotionless. The fact that the because in the game the war in the outer colonies was over at the time of the Covenant War, and yet it's still going on. In fact, everyone's like, yeah, there's no such thing as aliens. It didn't make too much sense.
Yeah. That was frustrating. But I also haven't read the book, so I wouldn't know from the books
The books
from
are
that
very
part of the
the
mythology.
books are very good. They are very good, and they do give you a lot of the backstory that the games didn't really give you.
Okay.
Now they did do a good job with the second season of more
hmm
or less doing like, okay, now we're what we should have been, but I don't know. I feel like the second season it should have been more about the fall of more like the build up to the fall of Reach because that was a pinnacle moment in the game was the fall of
hmm
Reach. And yet they didn't really do a build up. They do like two episodes about it, and even then, one episode is like 10 minutes, and then like, okay, we're off Reach.
Mm, yeah. I think that's such a hard one. Like, but Bobby, what about you? Any adaptations that have stood out to you that you've liked? Any like film, like book to film, game, anime?
Um, for me, it would have had to have been. For me, it would have had to have been the movie I Can Only Imagine.
Mm, I can only imagine.
Um, yes, there's a song called I Can Only Imagine, which is
Okay.
where they got the movie from, and
It was
it's
based off a song.
yes, a Christian
Oh, that's
song.
interesting. I haven't known too many adaptations from a song. What an interesting way to adapt.
And here's my thing: I got
Mhm,
to go back to books to movies to
mhm,
whatever, but I'm gonna go back to that for just a second.
mhm,
My thing on books to movies is you read the book and you're like so invested, and you're like, I hope the show or the movie, whatever have you, is
mhm.
going to be just as good as the book was. And you watch the movie and it is total trash and doesn't even have near the stuff the book did.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were talking
Or
about
that,
that a little earlier as well. Yeah, it's and so
or they
okay,
change it
I'll go
up.
into that in a second. But yeah, mhm.
But
What were you
anyway,
gonna say, Bob? Mhm.
the song, I Can Only Imagine. You'll have to look it up. It's really good. I don't know if you're into stuff like that or not, but I recommend looking it up, at least listening to it,
Okay.
because it's really good. And it's basically this boy who, and you know my story, so I'm
Mhm,
not going to go there. Um, but it's about this boy who has been through some things that I've been through,
mhm,
and how he survived it, and you know got through it with the help of, I'm just gonna say it, with the help of God.
Mm-hmm.
For those that of you that believe in God and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
um, well, I do, but anyway, that's not the point. But it's a really good movie. It's heartbreaking, but it's really good because there's some things in it that you're like, I don't know if this should have been in here. Then you're like, wait a minute, this actually matches the song.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that? And this actually makes me think of non-standard adaptations, right? So like a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
things we've been talking about throughout our the session so far is we touched upon a lot of books, movies, or we touched around a lot of books, anime, animated, and video games. And the fact that you bring up a song makes me think of, what about things that are like non-standard adaptations? Like think about like the Barbie movie, which
Yeah.
like whether or not you like Barbie or not, it's a set of what Barbie is a toy, same thing as Transformers. It's a toy that went on to be huge box office successes, right? Um, and it's like non-standard adaptations. So like Bethany said Aragorn. Aragon. I
Oh,
always was a fan of Aragon, by the way. I loved the dragon. The movie adaptation was just all right, but
I like the movie Aragon. I like the movie Aragon until I read the book, and now I can't go back and watch the movie ever again.
I know they changed some strange things in the film adaptation. But so this is the question I posed to you guys. Why do we think adaptations are so difficult? Why do we think they're so difficult?
Because I'm gonna agree with, I think Chetzel or JL said it. There's
Mm-hmm.
they make adaptations not seeming to think that the people who are absolute hardcore fans are like ever gonna go watch it, and
Mm,
they're the ones who can point out every flaw.
mm. So you think because they don't cater to the fans? But think
I
about it like this. Think about a movie that catered 100% to the fans, the original Dune movie. The original Dune catered 100% to fans, and debatable on what you think, but it was 3 hours of a very difficult movie to get through unless you were a fan of it.
you're talking Lynch's version?
Yep.
Oh, my heart.
It's
I
difficult to
love
get
that
through.
movie.
But if you like Dune, like you were a fan of
Yeah.
it. But at the time, I don't think it did well. But it was one of those movies that
No.
got like a cult following over time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, and to compare that to Villeneuve, who decided to change some of the characters, and by this time, enough people have read the book and are familiar with the characters that some of his changes seemed a little odd. Some of his choices seemed a little like, how is he gonna address this in the next one? Because he is gonna
Mhm.
do Dune Messiah.
Mhm.
He's working on it now, and it's like, how are you gonna fix this? Because he screwed up a couple of pretty major things, and it's kind of like, why is this so hard? But you're right, why is it so hard? And
Mhm.
I again, I think it's because they're not sticking to the source material. They're not honoring the original idea that was popular. Why are these movies even being turned, or books or properties being turned into movies? Because people love them so much. Why do they love them so much? Because the original stuff is so good, and
Lynn,
you're going to
Lynn,
take
Lynn
it
mentioned
and mess it
Lynn
up.
mentioned a really interesting comment. She's like, adaptations are difficult because the structure of the original material isn't always the same as film structure.
It doesn't mean you have to go make major changes. If you have to swap a couple things, fine. But
Mhm.
like to not even have a character that was a main playing character,
Guys,
like to
I
take that
think I'm
out.
actually
It's
surprised
like
I didn't say it, but I think Game of Thrones is a very interesting call out, right? Why the
mm,
first 6 seasons were well done, and then why season 8 is arguably one of the most questionable season finales to a show of all time. But I'm not going to
they
get
ran
into
out
that.
of
I don't want to
material.
cry too much.
Well,
actually go on.
I was just gonna say I'm like a huge, huge, huge fan of Sims 3. I'm kind of an addict of Sims 3,
Okay.
and I know that Margot Robbie, on the success of Barbie, is now looking at doing a Sims movie.
Oh yeah, I'm not. But I mean, it goes back to that adaptation, same Bobby that you were saying with the song. There's
I'm so
technically
scared.
less source material, so more of it is creative, right? You could say that the Barbie movie was like, all right, how much of that was actually canon? But the reason Barbie was successful was because they tried something different. They had the money and they had the names, so they were able to do something that came across as artsy, and it worked.
Well, there isn't a lot of serious canon in Barbie. I mean, a lot of it is
Exactly.
kids
That's
movies and
exactly
Princess Butterfly
it.
Barbie and shit like that, and it's just me. But I mean, basically that was, "Hey, look, here's a Barbie dream house on the big screen," and I had one when I was a girl, so I was just like,
Mhm.
"Ah!" I loved all of that, But I thought, I mean, the plot on its own, again, that just comes down to good writing. The Sims, if anybody knows The Sims, has canon. Like, there are
Mhm.
story arcs and lines in
Oh,
some
are
of the
there?
background characters. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, if she doesn't talk about Bella, and you know who I'm talking about if you ever played The
Mhm.
Sims, if they don't address Bella Goth, there's gonna be an uproar in the Sims community.
Mhm.
If there's people with that in there,
Now
the
see,
whole Goth family saga would be perfect for them to make a Sims movie out of.
I will admit, I had a favorite Barbie growing up. It was called Roadkill Barbie from the Monster Makeup Show down in Florida. Ken hit Barbie with the Dreammobiles.
Well,
Oh
that's when they
man,
got the
guys.
messy
All I
Barbie.
wanted was an adaptation of Pokemon, and then we got Detective Pikachu, which I think I found entertaining.
That was really cute. Some of the Pokemon though
For a little
don't really need to be made into live action.
but
Some of them
what's
were a little
interesting,
creepy.
this is the same thing, and I think this speaks to the fan portion of it. I don't know if any of you guys remember when I'm thinking of video game adaptations. I want to say this was about 10 or 15 years ago. I want to say one of the online, I think it might have been IGN, did an April Fool's prank where they launched a live action trailer of The Legend of Zelda. This was a while back, and it launched, and the internet blew up on the night because it was so well done and it looked awesome. And like, April Fools, this isn't real.
Oh
But
yeah, I think I
that
remember that.
that happens a lot where you see the fans make something and you're like, wow, that's really cool. And I think it
Some of
just goes to show. Mhm.
the fan shorts that have been made say, and I don't, not to open a can of worms, I'm just gonna open a little teeny weeny bit, but some of the Star Wars fan films are better than any of the stuff that Disney has put together.
If you want to see a good Star Wars film, look up Art of the Saber on YouTube. That is
Art of the
I
Saber.
Yeah, I saw that like 15 years ago. Someone redid it last year with 4K. It is still one of the best put together fan films you ever find because here's the thing. There is a lot of action. They don't use a lot of graphics, but there is something very beautiful about the choreography.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling a story while they're fighting, and it's just so beautiful. And it's something that like I keep it on my list. That like, yes, I'm glad someone upgraded this to 4K. But actually, speaking of things that are depressing for adaptations, the last Airbender was so depressing.
Yeah, we touched upon Last Airbender in the beginning.
I missed that.
I mean, I think I enjoyed the TV series. I was entertained by it, but I know a lot of people didn't.
No, the TV series is fine. I'm talking about the movie that M Night
Oh,
The
yeah, oh yeah,
movie does
absolutely.
not
Oh
exist.
no, yeah, the M Night Shyamalan movie was a failure. Yeah, that movie was,
A
oh god.
failure is not a good enough word to describe the train wreck that was.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
the
I always call
pronunciation of
back
the names alone.
See, that's
always
we're
call back to the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
I'm
I think
sorry.
that I
I'm sorry.
think
After M Night Shyamalan's adaptation, Super Mario Brothers was looking actually fairly good.
like, wow, Super Mario Bros. Movie was actually really good.
At least they said their names right.
Oh, I guess that's a
Yeah,
good point,
that's
right?
true.
That's probably another reason though that so many studios are afraid to do or were afraid for so long to do live game adaptations.
Well,
Well,
real.
games are silly. They are
Well,
just inherently silly, and to bring something like that to with real people and real sets, and I think if you take the material too seriously, you have to let it be fun, let it be what it is. And I think oddly, what embraced that very well was not even an actual game, was the one with oh shoot, now I'm gonna have to look it up. The guy that he was like Wreck It Ralph, I think was the name of it. They showed video games in a really, and of course that wasn't exactly, that was CGI, but it went through the
Oh,
spirit of
the
video
Wreck It Ralph movies.
games. Yeah, Wreck It Ralph.
Mhm, yep. Yeah, I mean
It's
those were cute pics. Those were really cute Pixar movies. I mean, it's the same reason that the Super Mario Bros. Movie that they came out with, the animated Super Mario movie that came out a few
no,
years ago.
As an
think that
Italian American,
that
I
one
was
did well.
offended. We do not go around saying "Mamma Mia" every 30 seconds. I had issues. I was like, "Really?"
Regardless, as a box office thing, it did very well in the box office.
Ugh.
Well, actually, when you really think about it, if you go back to that time period, the very first successful video game movie was the original Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I
Forgot about
remember
that one.
that, and it was a fun watch.
I think that what made that most successful is because one, there really what when you think about the original Mortal Kombat game, there wasn't really a storyline to it. So they kind of created a storyline, but they kept it in the realism of what the fuck was actually going on in the game. So
True.
they kept all the costumes were nice, they were accurate. So everything was the only thing we didn't get was a very old Shang Tsung. But let's face it, where are you going to find a 70-year-old guy that's going to fight Liu Kang?
Okay, we're gonna find him somewhere.
Maybe nowadays, but not back then.
All right. So let's see. Okay. So this is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conversation to have. I feel really, really great about this conversation. I actually didn't think that we'd get into fan service for an hour. So this was actually a great, great one to chat about. But with that, as we're hitting the hour mark, let's get some writing done. Let's hop into a writing sprint and we'll catch up a little bit more on the break. Let's see. And I'm thinking and from a time perspective, let's do our first one. We'll do a 25-minute sprint and we'll see if that can help. While I'm setting it up, what are all you guys working on today? Real quick.
I'm working on my werewolf novella to go with my Otherworldly Beings series.
I have
Fan
started
fiction.
Whoever just spoke, go ahead and I'll wait.
No,
Sorry,
go through
I interrupted.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm working on a fan fiction tonight. I finally finished the final edits for Shifting Flames, so I do not have to work on that for a while.
Woo! Oh, that's exciting.
Well, me, I'm working on a military romance novel.
Ooh.
And I have almost got it completed. I just haven't told y'all about it yet. Because you know how I am. I go back and forth. Kaufman knows this. Um, but anyway, I've been working on it for quite a while, and I've almost got it ready to submit to a publisher.
Ooh, that's exciting. So it sounds like you've been making some solid progress then, Bobby. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yes,
Let's see.
I just have
Calvin.
been. I've just kept that going behind the scenes and not said anything about it because I didn't want to, like I've
Yeah.
done before, jinx myself and
Mm-hmm.
it go bad and go all to heck,
Yeah, and I mean,
and you
I
know what
think
I
that's
mean.
smart. Yeah, I think that's totally smart. It's like you don't want to announce something until you're like certain of it.
I just can't
Awesome.
say the name of it, and I can't tell who I'm going with as a publisher, but
Mhm.
I'm definitely going to get it published.
Ooh. Well, definitely good luck with the process, my friend. I'm very happy to hear that. Calvin, what
Thanks,
about
and I
you?
will shut up.
What was that?
Thanks, and I'll shut up now.
No worries. Calvin, what are you working on? Maybe. We might have lost him. Okay, so let's hop into the writing sprint. Let's do it. So I have it all set up on my end. So we got 25 minutes on the clock. Come join us. And real fast, if you are enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. We're here every week, every Wednesday with the Right Now Writers Group. So if you're enjoying this, if you're enjoying the conversation, follow and subscribe because we got many, many more days to come. Or are you already a subscriber? Tap that share button. Help us bring more writers to the community. We appreciate you. And let's get into it. So we got 25 minutes on the clock. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process because it's time to write now. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. And we are back. How'd that sprint treat all y'all? It took me a few minutes to get into it, but once I did, I thought I was able to start the chapter. So I feel I didn't get too many words, but I was like got some admin out of the way, and then the brainstorm, like, okay, that's right, because I'm writing a new chapter right now. New character introductions are always fun. I know. How about you guys? Were you guys able to get any progress that time?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I had a little bit of a puppy situation I had to deal with before I could start writing.
No.
So,
Those
yep.
pesky animals. They only
Those
become a situation right when we're about to write.
Yeah,
That's how it
it's
always
true. Well,
works
I heard
out.
barking and they don't normally bark, so I was like, all right, what's going on? So I had to go check, but everybody's good. And I got a
Nice.
little bit of work done. Mostly I was just kind of catching up to where I left off and did a little bit of editing.
Nice. And then JL, remind me, how far are you into your manuscript you're on?
This one, let's see. Well, I just finished my last novel and it's ready to go to my editor. This is a novella, and I'm about, hopefully pacing wise, I should be rounding the end of the third act.
The third act. Okay.
Yeah, that's my goal. Time to get into
Nice.
the big to do. It needs to, because for novellas you don't want to have a massive word count. I'm about
Mm-hmm.
25,000 words. I don't want to go over 35, 36.
Mm-hmm. That makes
So
sense. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Sounds like you're
Yeah,
almost there though.
getting there. I got plans. We'll see if I can pull it off.
What about you, Calvin? Any progress?
Yeah, I'm currently working on Trafal leading an attack on a marine base. So I've been stuck
Ooh,
on that one for a little bit, but I think I finally started getting it through. Like, okay, got him in his armor. Now I got to get him to the battle.
nice. Battles are always fun. And even know from your work, Calvin, you do a really good job with action sequences. And action sequences are hard to pull off for like military action sequences.
Well, I
That's
had
hard. It's hard to pull off when you have a lot of characters and a lot of things happening with like armies.
Well, I was talking to JL yesterday. As you know, Trafal carries a sword, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been very much against the fact of him deflecting the bullets with the sword because that's like I feel like that's overdone. So we came up with the idea he has like a deployable shield that he can use to bash people with while he's blocking.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that works. I mean, have it using a shield. I mean, the only way you could do it with the sword would be the sword would have to have some type of special property. And I mean, it's hard. So then you'd have to play to them having to have like an expert skill of like what the sword, unless it's like a giant like buster blade or something like.
No, it's not only that. It's becoming so common anymore that the person can magically just pick up a sword and has the skill to deflect bullets, which is like, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. If that actually was possible, we'd probably be using swords more often.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that. So it's becoming a little cliche.
It is.
Cliche.
Sword Art Online did it with
Mhm.
the main character is just able to deflect bullets, and he does it almost for fun.
Okay. I was like, let's see,
And
what's a
then
non-traditional thing? I'm going to have my character block a bullet with a staff. Have we done staffs yet? If there been any, I'm like, what's the most non-traditional weapon I could think of? All right, that's going to be my bullet blocker.
I can think of a
Um,
few things that are even less traditional than that, but
okay, what's the least non-traditional thing? Okay, guys, we'll give it here. Before we do though, Megan, I saw you did 500 words. Congrats, my friend. Awesome, awesome work. Always nice being able to get a little bit of writing in. Tiara, tiny bit of work got done here as well. Marcella, I wrote 281 words into a bit of dialogue between my MC and her soon-to-be BFF. So need to figure out what scene this is actually in. Right. Well, at least you got some writing. Now you just gotta play add that puzzle piece to the jigsaw puzzle of our imagination, right? So yeah, so as you were saying, I'm like, all right, so what ideas do we have? What are the most non-traditional weapons that could block a bullet?
Honestly, what comes to mind first for me is a tonfa. It's not
That
something you
sounds very
typically hear
familiar.
about.
What is a
Uh,
tonfa?
That's like a police. That's like an old school police baton.
Pretty much.
Okay.
They were originally taken from like mills. They were kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the handle, and you would hold it, and like the long part would be here, and you could
Mm-hmm.
just like swing them around like a baton, pretty much.
I thought a more non-traditional musical instrument. Usually a musical instrument that has some type of like steel or some type of property to it. Short of, I mean, obviously we could go the magic route and you can make up some magic ability that blocks stuff, but like a musical instrument itself, or maybe like a bard type character or some type of musician. Okay.
A shoe.
Shoe. That'd actually be kind of funny. For some reason, Soul, when you said shoe jail, I thought of One Piece and what's his face, the guy who used the main character. I just forgot his name. Who always
Luffy.
uses,
Luffy.
not Luffy. They're the cook.
Oh yeah, the one
Oh,
who the
Sanji.
more.
Because Sanji uses his legs for everything. Like he would be the one who would use like block with a shoe.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty
he would.
much.
I'm like, I'm surprised.
I think about like the funny stories about moms who used to throw shoes at their kids to get them to behave, and it's like just pulls their slipper out, ka-ching!
That'd be kind of funny. And there's like what if you have like a mom character and they're like being attacked and she just like throws like the shoe as it goes through
Yep.
and blocks the bullet.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
man.
so Kung Fu Hustle. I
No,
don't know
but
if you ever saw
okay.
Kung Fu Hustle.
Okay, actually, like, thinking about that slow moment, I have a good question for you guys because this is a moment I was writing in this last scene. How often in books do you guys see, or how often is it done? I don't know because I might not be as familiar with trends. How often do you see, or is it written that there's that the action becomes a slow motion type of thing? We know we see it in like action movies, like on film, we see it all the time, right? Where it slows down. But how often do you guys see it in books where the narrative actually says time slows down? And it's not a result of some magic effect. Like they're trying to create a vibe of, oh, basically trying to create that like movie moment. Do you
I
guys see
wouldn't
that ever happen?
Yeah, and the way I've seen it is you don't literally say time slows down, obviously,
Mhm.
but like using going into the head of the character who
Yeah,
is
that's exactly what it is. Like because it's
uh,
like adrenaline moment, crazy thing, but you're really trying to focus,
yeah.
hyper
yeah.
focus.
Yeah, you can use with time if you're trying to lengthen time, you use longer words, longer sentences,
Mhm,
and that draws out the actual time it takes to read. But it's almost like a visual mental effect on the reader
mhm,
itself. But to
One
go into
way
detail
that
and
can really help with the action scenes, making them seem like time is slowing, don't just describe the general things that are happening, describe every little action. It doesn't even have to be big words, it doesn't have to be long
mm,
sentences. You just need to start describing every tiny little thing, because at least that's what I found is that really helps with the holy crap, everything is coming into hyper focus. And well, yeah, that's kind of what it seems like in movies.
I was just gonna say hyper focus. That's the perfect word, Saul. That's exactly what you would do. Is you sit there, all of a sudden you've got this heightened state of every little thing, and because it takes a while to get through that, it gives you
mhm,
that breath of slower time, and then you just punch it right back into the action.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I kind
that's
of try
really
to do that with
interesting.
my own action scenes. Is I try to kind of drag things out a few times to make it a little more dramatic, and then something happens and suddenly it's going like 100 miles an hour, and then it slows down again because holy crap, what is happening? He needs to understand what's going on, and then it just kind of ends almost abruptly.
Yeah, in
Be
in
be
describing the
because
process.
I tried something that like that in this last chapter. And I'm experimenting with it, but
Yeah.
I think I said it felt like time slowed down. Because like I know you could go the showing route. I could be like hyper focused, kind of like what you were saying, Jail. Like, okay, let's hyper focus there, focus on the senses, recognize each moment. But I'm like, for me to get the effect, what if I just told them it so that way I can instead save that space for the action I want them to focus on. I don't know
Well,
if there's a right or wrong way. I think there's a couple different ways to go about it. I was just kind of curious.
I think like because I had a scene where a character has to fight off a burglar that comes into her home, and I
Mhm.
just let her have some beats. I didn't draw it out, but I let the reader go into her head. Deep
Mhm.
breath, grinds her heel into the ground, assumes a
Mhm.
stance, plots that second, takes another breath, leaps into action. Boom, we're in it. Now she's on the guy. Now they're tussling.
That's
So it gives
interesting.
her just a few beats,
Mhm.
and you can almost see it in your head like a movie. The breath, the hand position, because she'd been
Yeah,
trained
and it
before.
sounds like you're relying on the syntax and the sentence structure as well to really
Yeah,
do
just
that. Mhm.
beat, 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 and then you go into your So I think if you say time felt like it slowed down, as a coach, I would say I really want to be in that as a reader. I want to
Mhm.
feel the time slowing down. I want you to tell me it slowed down. That would kind of I mean, it isn't wrong, but how if it comes across effectively, go for it.
Mhm.
What's important is if it's effective. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and that I'm not sure because I haven't tried it before in other high action moments in the book. I've never tried. I focus on like you do, like sentence structure, syntax, word choice. Um, but I won't know. I was like, I'm gonna come back to it at a later point and like reread it. But I was curious if other people have experimented with different variations or different styles for that
I
effect or
just
not.
like the beat. I like the slower beat of
Mhm.
preparation, and then when you hit the battle, you speed that beat up, and you can
Or
even
maybe
do that.
it's not even necessary. Like maybe from a reading experience, it's like the reader gets to choose, oh, is that slowed down or it's not? Maybe it's I don't know.
It's
I
up
think
to
it
you.
is a little reader subjective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it also depends on is there a reason that the battle might be slow to the Warriors' perspective? Because did anyone remember the first Amazing Spider-Man movie when Flash tried to beat up Peter and everything for him is in such slow motion, but then they kind of get out of Peter and now you can see Flash is actually fucking going at him and he just can't hit him because everything to Peter is in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a reason for
That's
everything to be
interesting.
moving in slow motion, you might
Mm-hmm.
want to describe that as far as like, because of this ability, I'm able to see his punches in advance, I'm precognition, I'm able to avoid it, everything. He's moving in slow motion to my perception, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But then
that's actually a really good point, right? Because that makes sense because Flash's ability is literally about speed, right?
well no,
And that battle
I was
focuses.
talking about Flash Thompson, Spider-Man.
Okay.
If you remember when he first takes a couple swings at Peter, Peter is like just easily dodging because everything is moving to him in slow motion. But like I said, then when they step out and you're seeing it more from like everyone else's, Flash is like really going at him. He's throwing punches as hard as he can, and he just can't hit
Mm-hmm.
Peter.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
Quicksilver. Quicksilver, all of a
Yes,
sudden you'd go into his perspective and he'd be like moving bullets, ting, 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 pushing people out of the way. And it's got this great music. That's like one of my favorite shots is that first Quicksilver thing. It was so good. And all of a sudden he stops and he's like, dink, and it's all, everything just happens, It's great.
Interesting. Well, thank you all for the thoughts on that. Yeah, those are some good ideas. I also loved what everyone was suggesting in the chat for our bullet reflecting question. Everybody went with a pen, and although Mary, okay, so Bethany was like bullet reflector, a pen, and then Mary said a pen becomes a sword in Percy Jackson, which I think I know Percy Jackson has been a popular series, so clearly that was a thing in there. Mary mentioned James
That
Bond
sounds
has a
very
pen that becomes a
literal.
poison needle. That makes sense. It's a James Bond thing to do, actually.
he also has a pen that becomes a bomb.
Yeah, he is. James Bond has a lot of things that become other things throughout the course of his Bond career.
No, I will admit though, I do like in GoldenEye when he had the pen that became a bomb. Like 3 clicks armed it, 2 clicks turned it off, and he's watching the dude play with it. And he's trying to keep track of like, okay, 1 2, okay, 1 2. It's like, God damn it! Like he's watching it. I mean, that was impressive to think like, okay, he's keeping track of the clicks until the guy finally gets up and like, oh crap, the pen is armed. And it's 2 seconds, 2 feet from me.
Oh man. Awesome. Well, I think that's some really, really good ideas. And then Bethany mentioned the Sweet Dream song. I was like, now I'm gonna have Sweet Dream stuck in my head. Awesome. So with that, quick break is up. Let's hop back into another writing sprint and end off our writers group strong. So let's get a couple more words in. We'll queue up another 25-minute sprint. I'm going to try to get this character, and I feel pretty confident. I'm doing this character introduction. So let's get a couple more writing, a couple more words in. We'll see what progress we can make. We started off with the first sprint. Now we're in it. So we're all committing, guys. We're making some progress this time, whether you are writing, brainstorming, or editing. That is all part of the vibe because it's time to write now. All right. And writing sprint done. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Woof, man. How'd that sprint treat you guys? Were you able to make any progress that time? Megan, I saw you did 567 words. JL, I was like, was that like that was a great, that was incredible progress.
Knowing what she writes, she has to fan herself to calm herself down.
JL's like, we're going to like the most spiciest scene ever over here. And she's like, damn, that was hot.
I need some ice water.
It's like, how was it? 2 or 3 words. I need water.
Like and a cigarette and no. I'm trying to see what my word count was on that. I don't even know if I blinked. Well, let me see. I think I did 479. Jiminy Christmas. Wow.
I was
Yep.
like, how much did I do? I did about 300. So nothing. Oh no, wait, not 300. I did 600. Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. I got a nice start to this chapter. Calvin, Chatsville, how about you guys?
Well, I can't say I wrote as much as Megan, but I actually did manage to get 800 words in even.
Nice in general.
Nice.
That's awesome, man.
That's epic, Calvin.
Mm-hmm. Especially
Total
considering you were
tonight, I've got just shy of 1,500,
nice.
and I've got like half a chapter done, and I finished the chapter before this.
Good for you,
Right
Sil.
on.
You're always making some awesome progress on your end.
Ugh.
She's a machine.
Yeah, and watch, I'll probably not write for the next 3 days.
Like making up for 3 days. I finally understanding what your writing vibe is. You're like, I'm just gonna go hardcore for an hour, and that'll make up for 3 days worth of sprints.
No,
Binge
that's not
writing.
really my vibe. That's just kind of lately. No, my typical vibe is write until I cannot think of the scene anymore, and then I stop. If that lasts a week, if that lasts a month, it doesn't matter. It's just, it lasts for as long as it lasts.
Oh man, and awesome. It looks like Heather got 400 words added and edit notes worked through. That's always huge, right? When we're getting working through notes from our editor, that's always a huge plus too.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So it sounds like we all made some pretty solid progress tonight. We did, what was that, 2 25-minute sprints. So roughly about 50 minutes, nothing crazy. But I'm glad I was able to get the start on my chapter. I feel like I got a good vibe starting off with it. And I'm literally just introducing my new hero now with them. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I feel like we got some pretty great conversations tonight. We got some pretty great conversations, chat, and writing sprints. For all of our new community members, make sure if you're enjoying the stream to follow and subscribe. We'll be here every single day. Today is day 430 of consecutive streams. And as we wrap up our writers group, we'll be back next Wednesday. I'll be back. So I think I can probably assume you'll be back. And
Please, I'd have to be dead not to come back.
Soul at this point has a reputation to keep.
Yeah, you and me both, right? Whether I'm in the hospital or not, I got to show up every day or else. So it's like made that with our writers group, which I absolutely love. Absolutely. I always look forward to our writers group. We hope you guys join us as well. We'll be back next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Writers group. Wednesday writers group is an open invite for any writers who want to hop on stream, chat, whatever writing nonsense or craziness, and get some writing done. So we'll be back next week. I'll be back tomorrow. And I'll let each of you guys outro. Once again, if anybody wants to find you guys, who are you? I'll kick it over to you first, JL.
Oh yeah. I am on barnowlbooks. Shoot, is it org or net? Hold on, now I gotta look. Oh no. .net. Oh my god. It's fine. I'm a professional. It's okay. barnowlbooks.net has all my books. I'm going to be listing my services. I do professional writing coaching, and also I'm getting ready to offer some cover designs. I'm really enjoying doing that. yeah, and I'm kind of having a great time with it. So I figured I'd toss my hat in that ring, see how it go. And yeah, that's the main thing. If anybody's interested in some coaching, I do also have a Discord that is called Writers Inc., but it does require a personal invitation. All you have to do is DM me on Discord at JLD or Jennifer, JENNIFIRE, and I will invite you.
Ooh, excellent. Well, I'm definitely going to have to go check out some of your stuff, Jenny. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And chat soul or normal.
So, yep, if anyone wants to find me, my book series, piratestheseries.com. The website is back up and running. I also run an editing and creation service where I do developmental editing, beta reading, action scene review, and if you need help with characters, creatures or races, creating worlds, I offer those services as well. Just find me under Chat Soul on the Discord. I do not have a personal Discord for that yet, but I am working on that, and always happy to help out.
Awesome. And Calvin, I'll kick it over to you, my friend.
Hi, guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Calvin. Best outro ever.
That is so the difference between how men and women communicate and
I
how
cracked up.
different
JL, you went into like the
creative
full,
minds work. He's like, okay,
JL, you
bye.
went into the full spiel, and yours was great. Soul did the same thing. Calvin's like, all right, bye guys. Been real.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. Well, I absolutely love y'all. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. For those of you who are here in the community, I'll be back tomorrow for another daily writing stream. What's tomorrow? Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll get some writing sprints and we'll try to get some work in. Make sure that if you're not a member of the Read Now book club, join now. Everything is linked down in the YouTube description. If you need feedback on your story, this Saturday stream is the Story and Critique Show where we do free excerpt readings and critiques, one of our most popular streams. So we got a lot coming up. Make sure all linked down below. But unfortunately, this brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on tomorrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.